You got to realize that you're a stranger. People are submitting their information. So in other words, they gave you a piece of themselves. That gives you the what?
Leverage, power.
Yes. Thank you for listening. The leverage. Do we ever want our customers to feel like we have leverage? No. We want to always make them feel like they have the leverage. So when we send a message, boom, we reposition them back in what?
In the powerful position, in the leverage position.
Control. What's up, good people of the world? I'm here with Lev, painting business owner, here for a business breakthrough. Lev, tell me, man, tell me a little bit about your business. What's going really well? What's an area that you're hoping for some insight or strategy on?
Sure. So, like a small background on the business is I was a painter myself for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. I was on the tools, just painting, subcontracting jobs. So I had the brand name for a little bit, but I was just a subcontractor
Okay.
pretty much. And
Okay.
then in the past, I'd say 6 months is when I pretty much got off the tools, but like actually fully off the tools was just the past 4 months. And so wherever that is, we're in
Okay.
we're in September now.
Yep.
And yeah, recently on average, I would say the numbers are kind of on and off just because it's a new thing, so it's hard to actually have like an average number. But I would say I'm about $20,000 revenue on average.
Where are you located?
Toronto. So Toronto, but everybody says Toronto, but it's like 7 cities in Toronto.
Okay.
So realistically, like I'm actually in North York.
One of the outskirts?
Pretty much, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
And
cool.
so I work
Okay,
in North York.
cool. So what is the biggest struggle right now in your business?
Yeah, so there's really two things that I feel like. So I'm new to it in a sense where like I would say I probably could be a bit more efficient and productive with my time and what I prioritize doing. So I'm sure I can improve on that a lot, but also the bottleneck within the business itself. So that's my personal bottleneck, and then the bottleneck within the business itself would probably be just lead generation.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty
Yeah.
decent. I would say I have a decent close rate in sales, etc. And I feel like if I just had a good amount
Okay.
of leads, that would solve a lot.
Gotcha. Okay. So the first one, we'll come back to, but the second one is a math equation, and I think from a leadership standpoint, what you should understand is that if leads are your problem, there's already many solutions to that problem. So I kind of want to know why you haven't pursued any of those options.
Yeah, so the way I market right now is just Facebook ads and door to door.
All right, stop there. Who's doing the Facebook ads?
I do it myself.
Okay. Are you an expert?
So I have background. So I've been doing Facebook ads for 3 or 4 years, so longer than I've been doing painting, pretty much.
And who did you do Facebook ads for?
So I worked for a company, high ticket sales pergolas, like aluminum pergolas. There was a company, $30,000 projects. I was doing it for them,
Okay.
and a couple other companies, just random ones. And then
Okay.
eventually, another piece of information is actually important on that is I've taken a course from one of the leading agencies for painters
Okay.
in the industry, and one-on-one course with one of the owners, and that should be online somewhere actually too, and that was recorded. And so
Okay.
they taught me pretty much the majority
Gotcha.
of their process.
Oh, you're not getting good results?
I'm getting decent results, getting all right. Honestly, Tanner, it's hard for me to say what good results are
Okay.
because
Well, how much are you spending?
about 2,500 to
And how
3,000.
many leads are you getting?
I'm getting, so if I spend $3,000, my cost per lead is about $35, which is quite cheap, I think, relatively to Toronto. And I'm getting like about like what, 85 leads.
Okay. What CRM are you using?
Yeah, so about that, I'm not using any CRM. The CRM I'm using right now is a spreadsheet, just Google spreadsheets.
Okay. So let's kind of backtrack. If you're getting 35, you're getting about 80 leads a month.
From Facebook.
That's not a lead problem. That's a conversion problem. Like, do you feel the same way, or do you feel like, well, let me ask you this. Are you tracking your set rate?
Yeah, yeah.
And what's your set rate?
So it's one out of, I want to say 7 just to be safe.
1 out of 7. So like 15%.
Yeah, like
You're, yeah,
15%.
you're burning money. I mean, that's super low. Do you feel like that's low?
Yeah, no, I think it's very low. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So you don't have a lead problem, you have a conversion problem. What is your process when you get a new lead?
Call them right away, speed to
How
lead,
do you call them?
just through my phone.
How do you get the information?
It gets into the spreadsheet. It also gives me a
You zap it
notification of
into a
my
spreadsheet?
Zapier, exactly. And then it goes into my email as well. So it just shows up as a notification on my email on my phone.
Got it. So what if a lead comes in at 6 or 7 p.m.
I
or
call
like
them.
9? Okay, what about 10
I
p.m.?
had one comment 10 p.m. yesterday, and I didn't call them. But I don't know what's the moral
Yeah, yeah,
ground on
what's
that.
acceptable? And what about weekends? I mean,
I call them.
you,
I work all
you
the time.
called, right? Okay, so let me ask you this: do you answer every phone call you get?
Pretty much. A lot of
You're an outlier. Most people don't. You're a business guy too, so we need to think like customers. Most people don't want a phone call, but do you understand the difference between different motivations when it comes to different lead sources?
definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this before I go any further on this. What does the crew look like?
Subcontractors.
Okay, how many do you have?
Listen, three crews, and then it's 1 to 2 painters each. It can be
Okay,
more.
so you have about 6 painters,
Roughly, yeah.
that you can access if needed.
Mhm.
And then who's doing the door knocking?
Myself, and currently I have another guy.
Is he knocking right now?
Not in like in general, yeah, like in this time period, yeah.
Well, how many appointments does he set a month?
So we just started with him in particular. I was working on the hiring process. He seems like a really good marketer, and I mean he gets like 3 A leads, 4 A leads per 4 hour session off door to door.
Okay,
The
per week, per
conversion is a
month?
bit different.
What's he getting per week, per month, or like how many is he getting per month?
So basing, say for example, 3 A leads per day, we'll be looking at about 15 leads per week,
Okay,
as long as he puts in like
so
five.
he's able to generate about 60 leads, A leads per month.
Those are door to door.
Okay, so Lev, let me ask you this. Well, first of all, between the two of them, that's like 150 leads, bro. So my first question is, why did you tell me you have a lead problem?
Yeah, that's a good point. So just to touch on the Facebook ads, Daniel, and I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but it seems like the lead quality is very low. So I'll get a call, or I'll call them, and then it's gonna be like a $700 job, or it's gonna just be like a price shop, or it's gonna be like, oh, I'm not actually interested, or
How much friction is on the form?
I don't necessarily see a lot of. I don't know what you mean by friction. What do
No,
you mean?
no, no, no. How much friction is on your form?
Oh, in the form, a decent amount, I would say. Like name, what type of project, when they want to have it booked. So it's not a basic one.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is that you got to consider if you compare it to door knocking, like the results are probably eerily similar, right? I mean, ultimately, you would look at like there's certain A lead Facebook leads, and then there's certain B, C, D. Your job is to extract the A leads. Are you doing house painting or you do cabinet refinishing?
Predominantly just exterior and interior house painting.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the first thing is that we need to get you a CRM, man. With all these leads, if anyone in the whole world needs a CRM, it's going to be you. Especially one like Drip Jobs, because obviously instead of the spreadsheet, we can zap them right in, trigger a text, trigger an email, nurture them, right? So you're going to get a lot of all 90% of my conversions come from people booking themselves through text and email. So you're missing a big, you know,
Can I ask you on that, Tanner? Because my perception was that you have to call them because you want to set the estimate properly. But if you do it through text, you might lose that.
well, you're actually getting them to do a request in Drip Jobs. So what that does is if they come in as a Facebook lead, the next step is not a firm booking, it's a request which takes your C lead and makes them an A lead. Because that's what you consider an A lead, is someone who's interested and they want to book an official appointment. Okay? So you got to think of it, if you're asking people to choose a date and a time off of a Facebook lead, this is incredibly psychological. But you got to understand also with Facebook, it's almost like it's like door knocking. Like nobody was looking for you and you showed up, so you have to kind of treat it that way. But you also have to have some sort of facilitation process to separate your leads, but also give them the ability to take a very light next step. So it's a very top of funnel process. But what it does is it gives people to take a very light next step. And then from there, now you have a bucket of people in the estimate requested stage that are seriously considering getting work done. And then from that point, that's when you schedule them or you do your pre-qualification call. But the thing is also you got to understand that you're creating too much friction in your process. So if I'm someone in your area and I see your ad and it appeals to me, dude, the minute I submit that button, my brain is looking for what to do next. Okay. It's going like this. What's next? What's next? What's next? And if I don't know what the next step is, I retreat because my first reaction is, this is a scam. I just submitted my freaking information again. And I don't know if I even want this job done now. And I don't want to pay the money. So that's kind of what the brain's going to do. So from a psychological standpoint, what we want to do is we want to make the next step predictable in every element of our funnel. So for example, in your situation, you'd have them click the button, they fill out the form. Dude, we're talking about seconds is the difference between getting an opportunity and losing one. Seconds. So whatever superpower you think you have by opening up that spreadsheet and hitting the call button, it's nothing in comparison to an instant automation. We both know that because that happens at all times of the night and during the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So with that said, you got to understand, man, that there's an element of psychology here. You got to realize that you're a stranger. People are submitting their information. So in other words, they gave you a piece of themselves. That gives you the what?
Leverage, power.
Yes. Thank you for listening. The leverage. Do we ever want our customers to feel like we have leverage? No. We want to always make them feel like they have the leverage. So when we send a message, boom, we reposition them back in what?
In the powerful position, in the leverage position.
Control. So instead of us forcing them to book the appointment, they're back in control. And we give them the ability to control the next step by submitting a request with more information to pick the date and the time they prefer. So where I'm getting at with this is that I'm specifically speaking on this because we're talking about Facebook leads and we're talking about door knockers because you imparted on their time. Isn't that different than somebody seeking you out?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Tanner, would you say that, like in comparison, if for example, on the one end, I'm just picking up the phone and calling them right away, because on the form it does say like you'll get a call from us soon, and I'm getting on the call, and then it's like I'm trying to go through the sales process and kind of engage them right in the process and set a time, versus sending them a message where like people are busy and then they'll see a message and there'll be like a bounce rate essentially like of people that'll just get busy. And maybe if I was to get on the phone with these same people, I would have closed.
You're making too many assumptions about how you think people behave when you can't generalize a pool of 150 people. So you need to create a system that allows for people to choose how they want to interact with your business. So I go back once again to, you need to create choice. So I sent you an email. I sent you a text message. I called you. So you created 3 ways for them to get to the next step. In that moment, I'm telling you, you have to capitalize on the fact that emotion is as high as it's ever going to be. The minute all right, this is going to go even deeper, but you seem like a very smart guy, man. So I think you can ride with me on this one. You really do. I could tell, man. You're going to be really successful. So one thing that you need to understand here is the emotion is almost like a dopamine hit when you put out a Facebook ad, because you might be tapping into one of 2 things: a need that hasn't been met yet. So in other words, like if I need my house painted and I've been procrastinating, the dopamine is I'm going to be able to check this off my to-do list. Does that make sense? Okay. The second one is a desire. So the desire could be what? I want to get my house painted. Dopamine check. Boom. I'm progressing in an area of desire. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So now we have 2 elements of dopamine shots. And it's so easy to do because on Facebook, you can just boom, hit the button. Once that button's hit, does the dopamine continue or does it fall in your business? Why does it fall?
No follow-up. They didn't receive any type of feedback.
Good. So how can we keep the dopamine going up?
Keep the feedback loop going.
Keep the feedback loop open, right? And that could be one of 2 ways. Instant gratification by helping you get to the next step, okay? Or ultimately, in that case, it's giving them what they want, which is the paint job. But in our buying process, it's long before they can actually achieve, because the dopamine is anticipation. Another element of dopamine is the realization of the completed task. How long does that take?
A long time with painting, yeah.
Long time. Sometimes it could take 2 to 3 weeks, maybe months. And what happens is that if we wait too long in between the time the customer submits the information and the time that they can actually realize what's going on, they forget about what that anticipation was like. And then they start falling off. And that's why people don't book. It's because they start thinking of all the pain involved in achieving the results. So what's the pain look like? Let's outline a few. I have to get more estimates. What if I get taken advantage of? I don't want strangers in my house or around my house. What if they do a bad job? I'm too busy. So think about all the inconveniences. So our job, if we want to be exceptional, is to lower the cortisol around the things that we know people fear when getting an estimate. So how can we do that? So we could do a really powerful redirect page after that initial booking. That's one way. That highlights value, builds trust, creates emotion, okay? I'm actually building an app that lets people go through an interactive module, okay? And what that does is it shows them the different elements of why they should choose us, and it builds trust. So in other words, the first page is our story. The second page is a before and after. The third page is our warranty. The fourth page is, our values. And they have to check it off each step of the way, and they get a reward at the end if they complete it. So what that does is it keeps them not only interested in getting a paint job, but now it makes them even more committed to getting it from us. Because I understand this concept so well that people are generally very fearful when they have to interact with strangers. That's with any situation, especially when those strangers need to come to their house. The second thing is that you, from your perspective, you've got to understand this, and you got to make sure that you really lock this in, dude, is that we can't generalize how people interact with businesses, right? So for me, if you were to ask me, Lev, dude, I'm not answering your phone call. I don't care if I just hit the button. First thing I'm thinking, what am I thinking if I hit a button and I get a call from an unknown number?
Might be a scam.
Bam. What did I just do? Okay. So that text message could provide comfort that could say, hey, I'm going to be giving you a call from this number, right? Couldn't we do that? And then got it. Boom. Do you know how many customers I know that have that won't talk to us unless they know our number? That's just how people buy. Not everyone's like that, Lev. But I'm just saying that's one of the biggest holes I see right now, bro, is that you just have, first of all, your organization is the reason why I built Drip Jobs. Because not only do you have a spreadsheet, but you got to realize, dude, you're dealing with a ton of leads. Not all of them are going to convert right then and there. That's another assumption we can't just assume because they didn't convert within 7 days. I might submit that and be like, I'm busy. I'm going to get back with that company in 2 weeks. I just wanted to get my name in their system, and I'll wait for them to follow up with me when I'm ready. Is that a potential case?
Yep. Yeah, that happens.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where you got to have the buckets, and that's what Drip Jobs has. And you got to have the automated follow-ups. That's what Drip Jobs has. So I know this so well that the only way that you can do business in the way that me and you were talking, where we're buying leads, we're aggressive with our sales process, we have to stay on top of people that are increasingly busy, is to have a system that has a pipeline and automations built in. There's no other way around it unless you want to do what you're doing, which is calling, hoping that you get them.
And then what's the system, in the case of the CRM and the Drip Jobs, it's going to be a message that they receive right away, and that's it, right? And then it's going to be follow-up messages, pretty much. Or
so the way you would set it up is you would get your Facebook lead form, you would zap it from Zapier, send the data to Drip Jobs, okay? And you're a marketer, but most marketing agencies they can set this up for the people listening. And then it's going to drip out communication for however long you want. So it'll be a text message immediately. I have one that goes out 1 hour after the first text message. It says, "Does Wednesday work for you?" ? That's all it says. That is my highest response rate message in all of my drip messages. Because there's always a Wednesday, and it's easy. And you know what they say? You know what I know about people and how lazy they are? Do you know what the response is to that message across the board 99% of the time?
Is it yes?
Yes. Because they're waiting. People are poking. Yes. Okay. It's like ping pong. It's like, boop, back to you. Back to you. Earn it. Earn it. Earn it. Right? It's not, yes, here's my address. Here's what time I'm available. Here's no, it's yes. Now what? Okay, then we come in and say, great, please send the address, right? So it's just important for you to see it from that perspective, that your customers are scared, they're lazy. You allow them to get a dopamine hit when they hit the button, and then what you're doing is you're giving false hope by not filling that gap immediately. Because as soon as that button hit, boom, dopamine. It's declining. Okay, I don't need this project. It's too much money, too much time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the resources. He's going to screw me, So that's kind of what I feel like there's a big miss in your operation, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
No, actually, it all makes sense, to be honest. And it actually makes sense because I'm not my ideal client. So I have no idea how they think. And my ideal client is a very busy homeowner with like 3 kids and a career and a house and like all these things and a dog, right? So
Okay,
they
let
don't
me ask you
want
another question, Lev. And you make a really good point. You have really good self awareness. Have you been in you've been in sales before,
to.
right? Okay, let me ask you another question. Have you ever hired a painting contractor before?
Not aside from just doing subcontracting, no, not for myself.
Okay, so I'm gonna be brutally honest with you that it'll show that you don't understand how your customers live. Like, let me make a side note. I made drip jobs. Okay, I've never built a software company before. Why is drip jobs? In my opinion, I think it's the best CRM in home service. But at the very least, I feel like we're the best painting business CRM, in my opinion. Okay, everyone has opinions. The reason it's so good is because I'm the customer. I see things through the lens of the people I serve, which allows me to be very efficient in how I build the business around the people that I serve. Okay? So you have a very big disadvantage from the perspective of you haven't hired a painting contractor before. So you don't really know how people feel when they go to hire a painting contractor. So it's impossible for you to position your business in a way that eliminates the pain around what they're experiencing. And I think it would be wise for you to hire someone to paint that room
Yeah, I was
that
thinking.
you're sitting in.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, yeah.
So whatever that costs you, let's say it costs you $1,000, okay? Imagine the payoff and you understanding the pain that people go through and what you'll really learn along the way. I would get 3 estimates from your competitors and get a quote to paint that room. What you want to look at is a few things. Number 1, you want to identify how hard is it to get an estimate from your competitors. Number 2, you want to identify how long does it take for them to get back to you. Number 3, you want to identify what's the quality of their proposals. How are they coming up with pricing? How do they make you feel in the house? You see, this is what I feel like would be a very beneficial, high value task for you.
And one more question that actually might be beneficial for everybody that's watching it as well is for the messages that you just outlined. For example, you have the one regarding the Wednesday, like is Wednesday a good day? Do you have that already like filled in drip jobs so we can kind of just use the templates and just
Not
literally
that one specifically, but yes, with drip jobs, the message is already built in. That one I added later on in my own account, right? So you have to tweak it yourself. But literally, like right now, if you signed up for drip jobs, you could connect it to Zapier, add your logo, and start sending leads there, and it'll send messages instantly within 10 minutes.
And the only time you call them is if they essentially go through the process of the messaging and they agree.
No. So at this stage of my business, we call them the same way you're doing it, instantly. I mean, I have someone in the office that's making these calls, and we're calling them up to 5 times before we write them off as not interested. But we still let the automated texts and emails trigger out for a few months.
So you do both basically, both calling them and then the messages as well. Yeah.
Call, text, email. If I could, I'd show up at their door. And I did that before when I was early on in my business.
Good stuff. No, that makes sense. And would you say doing that for the door-to-door leads is kind of like just building like a different way of approaching that, but doing a similar process?
No, I mean, it's just a list of interested individuals. So we have a feature in Drip Jobs where you can actually create a special form. And if you have someone out in the field, you can actually decide, what type of automation they receive based on their interest levels. So you might have a B form, a C form, and a D form. And if you still can get their information, but they're not ready to submit, you can fill it out and then just kind of do a long tail follow up with them. That's one way to do it. So you kind of have to decide how aggressive you want to be on people that aren't interested. But for me, like one of the things is, if you have a form for your A customers, you're at the door, he's filling out the Drip Jobs request form, that becomes a request. They get a special type of follow up relating to the fact that we met knocking on their door. So it creates a better experience, and you can customize that for that individual customer. You can do a lot. There's a lot that people don't know you can do with Drip Jobs, but that's one of the things you can do.
That makes total sense. So basically what I'm missing on right now is the messaging and the email. So like I'm calling them, they don't even know who that is.
You're not missing just that, dude. That's just the first part of your funnel. You're missing a lot more. You're missing the experience side of the actual estimate. You're not sending reminders to customers. Are you? Do you have like
I do
something like
manually, like a day ahead. Like I'll be like just a reminder, but it's not really
right? So you're
professional.
also like chained to your business because you have to remember to do that. And again, like, so you're missing that. You're missing easy pricing. You're missing proposals being sent in a way that like automatically follows up with people. I mean, so my suggestion to you personally would be do a demo of drip jobs. Don't just sign up so you can see the entire process. We have a very strategic demo that literally shows you what your customer will experience also, because that's a very important aspect of what we built, is that the customer engages with it as well. So I would suggest that.
Okay, that all makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Good deal. Any other high level questions, man, that I can
Yeah,
help
and
with?
so the one other thing I wanted to touch on is, well, actually two things. I don't know if you have time. Just let me know.
Yeah, a few minutes.
Okay, so basically, which one is more important here? Okay, so here's what I'm trying to do right now, Tanner. So I mean, I'm in Toronto, in Canada. It's gonna be off season in pretty much a couple of months now, and the off season here is, or it's cold. You cannot door to door. Like there's it's only Facebook ads, and people are like on holidays, leaving the country to the warmer sides. Like, and what I'm considering doing is leaving the country as well, going to a cheap place like Bali or Thailand, basing there, spending $2,000 for all my expenses instead of the $5,000 I'm currently spending in Toronto, and then just remotely doing the same thing because I cannot door to door and just hire a salesperson. Just wanted to get your insight on that kind of path for winter, for like the seasonal
I don't
aspect.
have experience with winter, but in theory, it sounds really fun and awesome. But in reality, I don't see that working out because of the elements of production that you need to be responsible for. You're so early in the business that I feel like there's still a lot of learning to do. I also feel like if you really want to survive the winter months, you should learn how to do that now, not when you grow, because you're going to be losing out on a ton of opportunity. I also think that you should be doing cabinets if winter is that big of an element. Cabinets is pretty much a year-round business. So if you're trying to build a lifestyle business where you get to travel and run your business remotely, I personally have not seen that work really well because you are working in people's homes. You are dealing with scheduling. You have subcontractors that aren't really like amazing right now because you're new. So I mean, it's up to you. I just would say build your business to a point where you're a CEO and you have a production system in place, you have a project management system in place, you have a sales team in place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that is a better approach. I don't think leaving this early is a smart play.
Okay. And one last question, can I? Again, 2 minutes touch on that as well. Yeah. So just regarding my productivity and just organization. So pretty much the way my day looks right now is I wake up around 7:30 and I'll do admin for like 2 or 3 hours in the morning, and I'll do calls, and then I'll do some marketing, and then I'll knock doors from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it's pretty much a 12-hour day, 10-hour day, depending. And is that, I think that sounds about right. Like, did you have
Yeah.
any insight on
Um,
I'm doing anything wrong there?
how many jobs are currently being painted?
So today it's raining, so we don't have any jobs at the moment, but tomorrow it's going to be
Okay.
like two, for example.
Okay. Well, door knocking is a $15 an hour task.
Mhm.
I personally don't think you should be spending that much time door knock. I don't even think you should be knocking doors.
Okay.
I would never knock doors, ever. Like if I was training someone, I think it's good that you know how to do it so you can train, but you need to start looking at your money as a freedom coupon and start. That's
Delegating.
something that you just your product is the paint job. If you're gonna spend any time, it should be sitting on the job, making sure your subcontractors are doing a really good job and they're clean and they're courteous. And like that's if you're going to spend 4 hours anywhere, it should be the last 4 hours of the day with your jobs, making sure that your product that you're putting out is quality each and every time, and developing systems around how to quality control that. Like for example, when a job is done, what happens?
I walk through
Okay, with who?
with a head painter, so we'd have a head painter in each team.
A subcontractor.
Very professional.
Is he a subcontractor or not?
Yes.
Okay. Is that an amazing experience? Do you know how I felt when I had my granite installed and I was sold and I had the best experience with the salesperson? And he sold me on we kind of bought from him because he was such a nice guy and he was like really genuine, and he winded up selling us the job. the process was a little rocky. He wasn't clear on where we had to go to pick out the granite. He wasn't clear on the fabrication stage. He measured it and then emailed us, and then, okay, here's when the guys are showing up. Good. Okay. The guys showed up. He was nowhere in sight. He's the only person I know from his company. These two random guys show up. They're ready to install. There was no intro, no introduction, no, hey, this is Joe. He's the head guy. This is his helper, Sam. They're going to take good care of you. If you need anything, you call me. Okay, that didn't exist. They did a good job. They were nice guys. I didn't say that they were bad guys. For me, like, I was like, okay, well, is the salesperson coming back? The guy that sold this to me, doesn't he want to see it? Right? That was the thought. These are just thoughts, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. And they had me fill out this very like basic printed piece of paper, and they asked me for a check, and I gave him the check, and I never heard anything from anyone from that company again. Is that what's happening in your business right now?
Not that extreme. There'll be a bit more communication, and I'll still show up every now and then, but kind of, yeah. Like, I won't be on every single job.
Do you think that's exceptional?
That's not exceptional, but for sure.
So you won't survive in this business of house painting unless you're exceptional, because it's a commodity. That means anyone can do it, including your customer. So you have two choices. You either be average or you be exceptional. And you're not exceptional. You're knocking doors when you need to be zeroing in on trying to be exceptional. And I'm not saying you need to be the one to be doing what I said you should be doing each and every time. You eventually want to delegate that to a dedicated project manager that does that and wears your logo and manages the subs. The subs care about getting paid. They don't care about making your customer feel warm inside. That's your job. They care about doing their job.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's right.
So in terms of your time, it should be, how can you build a system that doesn't depend on you and creates a great experience for each customer as if you were there? That's what you need to be focusing your time on. I wouldn't knock doors anymore.
So that's something you're saying you could potentially automate with, like, say, trade jobs, via messages, etc.
In a sense,
Yeah.
In a sense, there's an element of automation. Like, for example, with our automation, when we move a customer to in progress in the system, that means they're starting their job tomorrow. 24 hours later from that moment, we send another message that says, hey, how's everything going? Is the team doing a good job? Are you happy with the progress so far? The response rate on that, super high. Absolutely, we love the team. Or sometimes they'll say, no, there's an issue. They got paint here. And we can resolve the issue so it doesn't fester and turn into a bigger problem.
That's great. But you would still recommend doing that along with showing up to every project to provide that exceptional experience.
I mean, you want someone there. I mean, especially if you're a subcontractor-based business. You know, they're not wearing your logo. Your van isn't colored. It's just a very like dry experience.
Right. Yeah. Darren, I did lie. If you don't hate me for it, can I ask you one more quick question? Yeah. So aside from door-to-door and Facebook ads, would you recommend me doing any other marketing, or should I just nail down on these two, or maybe I should consider adding another?
Those are very weak marketing channels. The intention behind the customers that come through those channels require a lot of effort on your part to get them from not interested to interested to committed. So that's a long journey. What you should do is you should have something that leverages the first two parts for you already. So that would be enhancing the Google presence or paying for leads. I think up there it's Homestars is one of the ones that they have. I don't know how they operate, but it's probably similar to Angie Leads. But when you go with one of those two, and when you have those two channels, that's high interest. So you don't really have to work hard to warm up that customer and get them to buy.
So like
Local
some advertising on Google, I think it's
local services ads, yeah, Google LSAs, and there's plenty of people. We have a partner page on Drip Jobs that has a bunch of Google people. That's a good investment that can help you out.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I really much appreciate you, man. For real.
Yeah, was this helpful?
Very helpful, yeah.
Good.
Can I rewatch the video?
How'd you hear about this coaching session?
I was watching one of your videos on YouTube, and you just casually dropped, like, I'm doing these sessions on one of the podcasts with Aiden. And yeah, you just talked about doing these sessions, and then I was like, oh my God, really? I was like shocked that you
Yeah. I enjoy them, man. I hope I can help you. I'll send you a link to do a demo. I hope to see you try it out, and I'd really like for you to come back, man. I had fun talking to you. So once you get some more things in order, we'll chat it up again.
Definitely. Appreciate your time. Thanks, man. Bye.